I'm trying to make sense of the information that's coming through to me right now, but unsuccessfully at the moment. There's one thing that's really coming through big time, like repeatedly, and not just with me, but with a friend that I know, with friends that are posting things on the boards. So everywhere, it just keeps coming at me from, out here in my visual reality, as well as from within in my OBEs and such, and that is having to do with timelines, multiple timelines, parallel timelines. And this is new. It's sort of skirting my mind out a bit, because I always just sort of figured as I shift, I'm going to be shifting into a deeper dimension of reality, and not necessarily just parallel shifting. So this is something new. I don't know why this is coming forward. But I'm just going to start talking about this. I'm going to start talking about out-of-body experience phenomena that is happening in my waking reality at this time. And that has been happening for a while. Just in the couple days leading into my first conscious OBE, of me first coming into the conscious awareness of multiple realities and shifting into other reality systems, I had these 2 nights in a row where, and this is bizarre, I've never talked about this before really. I laid down to go to sleep, and it was a while before I actually got to sleep, because this is when the energies were coursing through big time. And it was probably around, I don't know, 1:30 when I fell asleep. I closed my eyes and literally, in what seemed to me the next moment, opened them. I mean, no more than a minute went by, and it was morning. It was time to get up. So this big time differential thing happened. And I didn't think much about it the first time that it happened, but the next night, a very similar thing happened. And again, closed my eyes, and no more than a few minutes went by. I opened my eyes, and it was daytime. It was time to get up and start the day. I wrote a friend of mine about this. I was not real freaked or anything, but, somewhat. I'm like, you got anything like this going on? No, came back the answer. But then a couple days later, I started getting pulled out of body. So this was just something that sort of led into it. And what happened, if I literally shifted from one timeline into another timeline, just, like 5 or 6 hours apart, where there were some differences, but no differences that I actually noticed. Except for that, all of a sudden, I was able to go out of body. I mean, I guess that's a big one. But I don't know. I don't know if that's what happened. And I also don't know if what's happening is, if there are these parallel timelines, if the cases in those parallel timelines are actually coming together. Maybe that's what's happening. Maybe that's why we go parallel, shift into these parallel realities, and probably not all of them, but probably a series of very closely related ones to this particular, reality that we're in. We shift into them, actually merge consciousness with those ones, and in doing it for a particular set, all of them come together into a totality. And, maybe at that point, there's a dimensional shift into a deeper dimension of reality. I don't know, but this is sort of what's coming through at the moment, sort of live on the spot. Just I have no idea what this is. But this has started happening in my waking reality now a lot. A lot. Anthony Peake has a group online called the ITLAD Walker group, and I won't go into what that's an acronym for, but somebody posted a link to a news article about, a woman who shifted into this particular reality from another, where there was these big changes in her reality. I'm going to link to that below so that you have an idea of what I'm talking about here. When I read this article, I'm like, well, this is an out-of-body experience. This is an astral projection. This is somebody who has gone into another timeline, like I do when I go out of body sometimes, and who either stayed in it for a period of time and is still here, and or maybe passed away in the other one, and so she shifted into this one, to continue with her awakening process. I don't know, but I've done this. I've gone out of body. I've gone into another life experience where I seem to have stayed for a very long time, for a time long enough to where I start to get nervous, in it. And at the point that I start to get nervous and wondering, can I get out of here? Maybe it's time to go back. But I always have gone back. Anyway, in my reality here, maybe 4 or 5 days ago, this experience happened like this, and I caught it, and I knew that I shifted timelines. That's what started this whole thing off. Actually, the thing that kick-started that off was the OBE that I relayed to you in the last video, where all these cases kept coming to wake me up in there, and then in my physical reality. So at 6 a.m. I wake up and do a change with my care client, and I walked in her room, and on her table will always be everything that I need. And in there with everything that I need is always, a pair of disposable gloves. And I reach onto the dresser to get the gloves. The room is always dark before I turn on the light anyway. When I do this, the room is still dark. I reach for the gloves, and there's a pile of them there. All wadded together. So, you sometimes have to take them apart. And I thought, that's weird. Well, maybe the gal who set them up for me just got a little bit lazy and didn't want to take them apart. Instead just put the whole pile there. So anyway, I do my thing there. I come back to my room. I do my practice, and at 9 o'clock I get up and go to work. And when I go into her room, instead of going for the gloves where I know that they always are, I went for the dresser because there was a pile of them left there earlier, and the pile wasn't there. There were no gloves there. And although I didn't catch it at the time, there became the opportunity when we were sitting down to breakfast to bring it up. Because I share with her my experiences, and she knows about the tsunamis. And so I started relaying to her, about multiple timelines and shifting from timeline to timeline, and then remembered what had just happened in the morning. So gave that to her as an example. Her mind was blown. Later she made me even tell a couple other people. But this is happening. This is happening. It's a small change in comparison to if you read the article that I linked below, what happened to this other woman. But it was there, and it's noticeable. The question is whether or not there's an actual shift in timelines. I mean, Tom Campbell has another idea he would associate with this, and this is where he brings in the idea of probability and I'm not coming up with the word, doubt. Like when you're not sure, like if you put your keys somewhere and you're not sure exactly where you left them, but you're pretty sure you left them over here. There's some room for doubt as to where you left them. And so the likelihood of probable places where they could pop up is multiple. It's more than one. you know. And I can see how that could also explain, when I reached for the gloves, it was dark. Now, I did feel the pile of gloves, but I didn't visually see them, which left room for doubt, So when I came in at 9, the larger consciousness system simply didn't render them there because there was space there in which it could or couldn't. But anyway, just mind blowing. This experience, or one similar to it, happened with a friend of mine who wrote me a couple days later, and I'm just like, wow, these things keep coming forward. And then the guy on the Ed Led Walker group, posted that article, and I read that, and I'm like, this is just keeps coming at me. Just keeps coming at me. So there's definitely something here, trying to show itself. I'm just maybe not getting it fully yet. Now, this is also associated with a new thing that started happening a few months ago. When I shift from this reality frame into another reality frame or into another reality system, I generally feel the tangible shift, and I will feel it in a variety of different ways, which I've gone into with you all before. But a few months ago, this one phenomena started happening, and a version of it started happening maybe a year or so ago, and I used to call it the inner chill. And it would simply come, it would be brief, it would move through me, and it would go. Now it comes and it moves through me, and it's dynamic and it stays. This phenomena happens through me, for 10, 15 minutes sometimes, and I know I'm shifting, but I don't go out of body. Sometimes I do. I'm trying to figure out how. When this happens, I sometimes go out of body, but the majority of this time it happens, I don't go out of body in the traditional way. And what's starting to come to me now is that I'm shifting timelines when this is happening. There's something deeper to it too. I don't know what this is, but I want to know what this is. Does anybody else experience this particular thing? It's happening during the daytime now too, not just when I am sleeping or laying down to practice. Even just sitting like here right now with you, it can just start happening through my body. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's happening. I do want to know what it is. I do want to know what's happening. I think it has to do with the shifting timelines things. And so, I'm just paying really close attention to the visual frames that I happen to be in, and looking to see if there's any differences. Small or large. I have a feeling that they will start out small so that it's not too shocking to the system, but that they can and will, I think, definitely be getting larger and larger as we, hedge forward into 2012. And again, I think that it's very possible that I may actually, in what seems to me my waking daily reality, come across another Casey. Either visually or not, maybe it will just all be within, but I think I will definitely be aware of it happening and of the consciousness merge. What's your idea about this? Multiple timelines, multiple parallel timelines? Are we shifting into them and actually merging with another of ourselves there? I think I am.